This lesson changed my life. Do you have the habits of the poor, the middle class, or the rich? Right now, I want to explain the difference between the three groups so you can start on your path to wealth, just like I did. When I learnt this, it felt like I'd learnt this massive secret that only rich people knew, and today I want to share it with you. That's actually the reason I started this channel. I've read all the books on money, I've invested in many things, and I used a lot of trial and error along the way, usually a lot more errors than trials. And all of this helped me find the best ways to manage my money and build my wealth. So in this video, I'm not only going to show you how the rich get rich, but at the end of the video, I'll also explain why the rich get richer. Let me start with poor people first, and I don't say poor people to be mean.
Savings? What the hell for?
Many people come from financially challenging backgrounds, had tough situations, or have simply had some bad luck along the way. Every time they get paid, they spend their entire paycheck just to survive. If they're lucky, there is a little bit left over at the end of the week, but it tends to disappear quite quickly. They don't even bother with budgeting because it just seems like a waste of time. No one has ever taught them about money, and they can't imagine a future where they're wealthy. They're just getting by. They're not getting ahead, not even close. You know, I read a recent survey that said 57% of Americans couldn't find $1,000 for an emergency. And that number jumps to 85% for those in Gen Z. So when you're living paycheck to paycheck and your car breaks down or you lose your job, then you've got a double disaster. You have the problem to deal with first, which is usually hard enough, but it quickly escalates into a bigger problem when you realize you're also strapped for cash. You end up having to use a credit card or borrow money, and that just puts you further and further behind. If this sounds like you, then it isn't your fault. Your parents didn't teach you about money because, well, no one taught them. They don't teach this stuff in schools, and the whole finance industry has rigged the game to look after the rich. Now let me tell you about the middle class. When they get paid, they spend most of their money paying off liabilities that they think are assets. Things like that car loan, a personal loan, or a credit card. After the middle class repay the minimum on their debts, they pay their bills and then spend the rest. Imagine a typical American couple, married with 2 kids, both working good jobs and making an above average income. They bought into the great American dream and own a house. Well, actually the bank owns the house and they just get to look after it for them. They have 2 nice cars, but both are leased and they have nearly 10 grand in credit card debt. Here's the interesting bit. Over time, they both get pay raises. Because of that, they think they're better off. So they go out and buy bigger cars to park in front of a bigger house. All this results in is a bigger debt. And that pay raise is lost to bigger repayments. They feel richer because they have a nicer car and a nicer house. And they look richer from the outside, but they're no closer to financial freedom. And the only ones getting richer are the banks. Like many Americans in the middle class, they're stuck in this really clever debt trap and don't even realize it. It feels like they're in a hole and trying to dig their way out, but they're actually just digging a deeper hole. The really sad part is that most people don't realize until it's too late. At some point in your life, you're gonna want to do what you love instead of doing what you have to just to pay the bills. And if you're drowning in debt and don't have assets behind you, then you're not gonna be able to follow your dreams. Maybe this describes your parents or somebody else you know. And maybe, if you're not careful, you'll start heading down the classic middle class path, and you'll wake up one day in the middle of the rat race wondering how you got there. And the reason people stay middle class is because they keep spending money they don't have to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't even like. But there is another way. Let's look at what the rich do. When the rich get paid, the first thing they do is buy assets. They pay themselves first. What I mean by that is they put money into something that is for their future, and their future self is going to thank them. The rich didn't start rich. Okay, a few of them did, like some are born into money and some got lucky. But most people that are comfortably rich, they started in an average job on an average income. They got started by putting a little bit into assets each month, like shares, and letting it grow over time. The first thing they did with each pay is put a bit of money aside and invested that into something that grew. Something that will provide an income for their future. Something that makes them money while they sleep. That's really the goal. After that, the rich pay down any debt as quickly as they can and they live off the rest, even if it means a bit of sacrifice. But remember the most important thing? They paid themselves first. The very first thing the rich did was invest. The poor and the middle class spend their money first and save what is left. The rich save their money first and then spend what is left. I know it sounds too simple, but that's the big difference. It's the order in which we do things. Now, I said there that the rich save, mainly because it makes a good quote, and spending less than you earn is the first step in getting better with money. If you keep spending all your money, you're not going to get ahead. But you can't save your way to financial freedom. You need to learn to invest, and I'll show you how in a separate video if you're interested, so make sure you subscribe to get notified when that comes along. And here's what happens to the rich over time. The money that the rich invest starts to grow. At the end of the first year, they might only make a small amount. In the second year, they keep investing, and they also keep their profits from the first year invested. So then they start to make money on the money they invest, but also on their gains. So they make money on their money on their money. A picture is worth 1,000 words, so here's a chart showing what happens if you invest $5,000 a year with an 8% return and take out your gains each year. After 30 years, you've invested $150,000, you're making 12 grand a year, and have a total of 336,000, which is okay. But if you make one simple change and leave your money invested each year instead of pulling it out, after 30 years, you've still invested $150,000, but you're now making over $45,000 a year and you have a total over $610,000. You're making over triple the income and you've got over double the cash. It didn't cost you any more. It's a never-ending cycle of gains that's known as compound growth. Albert Einstein understood how the whole universe worked, and he said that compound growth is the 8th wonder of the world. And there you have it. That's why the rich get richer. To get rich, they pay themselves first, they buy assets every single month, and just keep buying. They get richer over time as they make money on their money on their money, starting from nothing but growing their wealth over the years. And you can do it too. If you only take one thing from this video, put aside 10% of each pay and invest it for the future. I know it sounds too simple, but it will change your life. It changed mine. This is a long-term strategy. That's why you need to get started as soon as possible. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. Now look, I've been talking here today about getting rich, and I'm not really talking about money. We need money to live, of course, but I don't help you make money for the sake of having money. I think we all know deep down that money doesn't buy happiness, but it's probably also a lesson you want to learn for yourself. What I do want to do is remove your stress. I don't want you having to work 2 jobs. I don't want you worrying about how you'll pay that next bill. I'm not here to help you get rich. I'm here to help you get happy. I'm here to help you experience all the things. I'm here to help you live your best life. Because to the best of my knowledge, you only live once. So what are you going to do with this one wild and precious life you've got? Having a simple budget, paying down debt, investing for your future, it's going to make you feel in control. It's going to give you confidence when it comes to money, and over time, you'll get peace of mind, which is even more valuable than the money you'll make. Here's a question for you. How much money did you invest last month for your future? If the answer is nothing, that's very normal and that's okay. Stick with me and I'll walk you through how to get from where you are now to financial freedom. I'll try and simplify money, budgeting, debt, and investing for you, because I honestly believe that there is a really simple path to getting wealthy. I can show you step by step how to do it. I went to a normal high school and then I joined the army on a pretty basic wage. And then I learned that the rich invest a little bit out of every pay first, and it changed my life. Over time, I created my wealthy life starting from nothing. I've learned a lot of great things about money, budgeting, and investing, and I'm happy to share it all because I know you can learn this stuff. I know you're capable, and I know you can make it happen to create a better life for yourself and your family. Look, that's it for today. I was actually thinking this morning about some of the main reasons my investments grew, and I think there's probably 3 reasons that have caused that to happen. So I'm going to make a video and post about that soon. Keep an eye out, because if you want to be financially free in the future, you need to grow today.